Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Bank Shot Breakdown. We're going to go over 5 college basketball games for Saturday, January 14th, 2023. Now, if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to put your college basketball picks in the comments section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at the Premium Picks tab at pickdawgz.com. Alrighty, let's get into it. Here are the games for Saturday in college basketball. First up, it's Missouri and Florida. This one's going to be 3:30 Eastern on SEC Network. You know, I do think that this Florida Gators team is a lot better than its current record. And we took the Florida Gators over LSU last time out. They won the game by 11 points on the road, so they covered for us. But I don't like this matchup for Florida. I do think Missouri's going to earn a bounce-back win, at least a cover. You know, we're getting a few points here with the dog on the road. And Missouri's offense is 6th ranked in the country in adjusted offensive efficiency. They've played a really fast pace, and they're taking care of the basketball. Pretty good offensive rebounding team, and they're a very good shooting team. I just don't think that bodes well for a Florida team that has a lot of slow starts. We've seen it in SEC play in their last 2 games, even though they were wins for the Gators in the end. Slow start against Georgia, slow start against LSU, offensively more so, and I just don't think you can afford to do that against such a fast-paced, high-flying, good shooting offense like Missouri. Now, Missouri's defense is ranked 200th in adjusted defensive efficiency and hasn't been great this season, and a big worry that I see is Missouri's defensive rebounding, one of the worst in all of college basketball. But, you know, Colin Castleton, I will say, hasn't had the season that I expected him to have this year. He's still been a pretty solid player, but nowhere near one of the better front court players in the SEC conference this season. I think he's a little bit behind that, even though this is his senior year and the expectations were sky high. The Gators are ranked 297th in offensive rebounding percentage, so they're not getting those second chance looks like they were last year under Mike White. The Gators last year 69th in the country in offensive rebounding. So I do think Missouri's defense is a little bit underrated. I think their poor rebounding numbers are actually not going to matter in this type of game. I like the fact that Missouri forces a lot of turnovers. Like I said, very good shooting team. I think this is a good spot for them to grab a bounce back win. So give me Missouri plus the points in this game. Next up, we stay in the SEC as Georgia takes on Ole Miss. This one's going to be 1 o'clock Eastern on SEC Network. I have my concerns with Georgia's play as of late. Last time out, they earned a win against Mississippi State. That was a home game. Now they're back on the road. We saw them lose their most recent road game against Florida in a 82-75 final score. And overall this season, Georgia has not won a game in a true road spot all year long. They have losses to Wake Forest, Georgia Tech, and Florida. And now you're playing an Ole Miss team that's kind of similar to Mississippi State in the fact that they're very good defensively, but also similar to Mississippi State that they're not a very good shooting team, and their offense has not been great this season. That's why Ole Miss is on a 5-game losing streak. But you look at the last matchup for Georgia. They played Mississippi State. They earned the win by 8 points, but they put Mississippi State on the free throw line 22 times, and the foul trouble was a little bit of an issue in the beginning of the game, but Mississippi State shot 31.8% from the free throw line, 7 of 22. To put it in perspective, Mississippi State was ranked around 350th in free throw shooting as a team going into that game, but that was still with above 60% team shooting, free throw shooting percentage. They shot 30%, 31%. That's one of the worst of the season by any team. If you're Georgia's defense, you cannot expect those type of numbers for your opposition, especially in a road game going forward. I think Ole Miss is going to take this one. I'm going to lay the points here with the Rebels. Next up, we see Texas A&M and South Carolina. This one's going to be 6 o'clock Eastern on SEC Network. South Carolina's coming off a big-time upset win over Kentucky in Rupp Arena. Not an easy thing to do, but this is a Kentucky team. It's having a little bit of a down year. Not as good of a team as we're used to seeing from Kentucky. And that was also a game that, even though South Carolina was huge underdogs and they won the game outright, got to give them credit. You look at the shooting numbers in that game. South Carolina, 11 of 20 from 3. 55%. This is a team that's ranked 237th, even with that game in the mix in three-point shooting as a roster. They're 316th in two-point field goal shooting. One of the worst teams in college basketball in free throw shooting as a team. So this still is not a very good offense. I do think they had a little bit of a lucky day in that game against Kentucky. The Wildcats that didn't have a great shooting performance from deep themselves. So, I do think that this is a good letdown spot, unfortunately, for South Carolina, and a good spot for Texas A&M to win and cover. Texas A&M's on a 5-game win streak. They've covered in their last 3 games against SEC opponents, Florida, LSU, and Missouri. Solid teams in the SEC. Florida's, won 2 straight now, playing pretty good ball. LSU is off to a great start, and then Missouri, ranked team in the AP polls. So Texas A&M, a very good rebounding team on the offensive side. They're able to force a lot of turnovers, which bodes well against a South Carolina team that has had issues taking care of the basketball. I think because of that upset win for South Carolina, we're going to get a really good price fading the Gamecocks in their next game. So give me Texas A&M, laying the points. Next up, we go to the Ivy League as Princeton takes on Brown. This one, 2 o'clock Eastern. It's going to be on ESPN+. You got to look out for the Brown Bears as of late, their offense is starting to pick it up. You look at their last 3 games, at least 65 points in all 3 of those games. Now, one of those games went to overtime, so a little bit of the benefit of the doubt there. But still, their last performance against Dartmouth was 77 points and a 7-point win over Dartmouth. Brown shot 9 of 20 from 3, 45%. Their shooting numbers overall have really picked it up lately, and this was already a team that played really well defensively, 115th nationally in adjusted defensive efficiency, 3rd ranked in the country in defensive rebounding percentage. They force a lot of turnovers. They don't take too many fouls. So Brown's defense was in great form. If they can pick up that offense, have better shooting performances, they can really make a run in this Ivy League conference this year. Princeton's having a good season, 12-4 this year, 3-0 in conference play, but I do think they are a little bit overvalued and a little bit overrated, especially ranked 39th right now in effective field goal percentage on offense, 44th on defense. I don't think those numbers are going to hold up. This was a Princeton team that ranked 235th in the country in effective field goal percentage defense last year. And overall, I do think that their defense is pretty overrated right now. I think Brown's offense starting to pick it up is going to be able to take over in this game against Princeton. And I like the way that Brown plays defensively. Good rebounding team, like I mentioned. I think Brown keeps this game very close, and I think they win this game outright. So I'm going to take the points here with the home dog in the Brown Bears. Next up, the final game we're going to talk about for Saturday's card in college basketball. It's Providence and Creighton. This one's going to be 2 o'clock Eastern on Fox Sports 1. Creighton has to be disappointed with its most recent loss to Xavier. A 3-point loss, 90-87, the final score. It was a tough game. Creighton was up at halftime. They were up by 6 in the second half, but they lost it in the end. They lost another close game. They struggled in these close games this year, something that was different last year. They won a lot of those close games, but the big thing with Creighton last season, they were a good team. They made the NCAA tournament as a 9 seed. They played well. They won the first game against San Diego State. Then they played pretty tough against Kansas in the second round. But Creighton, the thing that was holding them back was their shooting numbers. This was a team ranked 305 in the country in 3-point shooting last year. They turned the ball over a ton. And overall, their offense was ranked 112th in adjusted offensive efficiency. They brought back virtually everybody on their roster from last year's team, and they added in a great shooter in Baylor Shireman, but the offense was still not clicking. They were still not having those great shooting performances. They weren't putting it together for 40 minutes offensively, and then they went through that 6-game losing streak. They lost to UConn, they lost to Xavier, but the takeaway I take from that game from Xavier is this team scored 87 points, Creighton did, in that game, in a true road environment against a sold-out crowd. Creighton shot 10 of 23 in that game, 43.5% from 3, 53.7% from 2, 81% from the free throw line. The offense started to click in a really big way, and now you have to feel you like your chances in home here against Providence and going forward in Big East play. This is a conference this year in the Big East. There are a lot of really good offenses. Marquette, Xavier, UConn, even this Providence team, St. John's, they know how to score points, and they know how to score them quickly. But if you're Creighton, you got to be better on the offensive end. Your defense is already in pretty good shape. 21st in defensive rebounding, 32nd in adjusted defensive efficiency. You don't really force a lot of turnovers, but you force a lot of tough shots. The offense needs to be better in terms of shooting the ball, but we're starting to see it more from Creighton. And I think going forward, we're going to get some value with the Blue Jays in a spot like this included. Give me the Creighton Blue Jays laying the points at home. And that's it. Those are the games for Saturday in college basketball. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. And don't forget to put your college basketball picks in the comments section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bet, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.